Not many people can take a book and turn it into a cult classic phenomenon, but that is exactly what director David Fincher did with his 1999 drama, Fight Club.
He's got a healthy sense of irreverence that I appreciate. He suffers no fools, and he's an incredibly bright man. I would call him a maverick, certainly.
Fight Club follows an unnamed narrator who suffers from insomnia and attends cancer support groups in his spare time. Once he meets mysterious soap maker Tyler Durden, his life gets turned upside down and he soon lets go of everything that he believes in for an underground fight club that he runs with Tyler. He soon realizes that this club is not just for fighting and sees it as a cult with devout followers and Tyler being their leader. Tyler preaches about the dangers of consumerism and the defects of society and develops what he calls Project Mayhem. This includes random acts of violence and vandalism from his followers without the narrator's knowledge. One night, after setting a particularly dangerous mission in motion, Tyler disappears and the narrator is left frantic, following his tracks in hopes of finding him and putting an end to what Tyler has done. In the film's huge twist ending, the narrator is hit with the shocking reality that Tyler isn't real and it has in fact been him all along.
Who do you think I am?
Are you sure this isn't a test?
No, this is not a test.
You're Mr. Durden.
This story reflects the author's voice because of his dark and dramatic style that is meant to fool the audience into thinking that they're in the loop. He does this by utilizing two types of narrative form. Fincher gives a lot of information to the audience as he lays out the plot and storyline. First of all, the story is told through the perspective of the narrator, who is never given a real name, which is meant to give him a sort of transparency because he narrates to the audience everything he is thinking.
Lost in oblivion. Dark and silent and complete. I found freedom. Losing all hope was freedom.
His dialogue also completely gives away the surprise ending, but it goes over everyone's head.
No! For some reason, I thought of my first fight with Tyler.
No! In this case, this reminds him of his first fight with Tyler, because his first fight with Tyler never happened, and it was just him fighting himself. As we learn more and more about the narrator, before the arrival of Tyler, we are walked through numerous cause and effect events that lead us to the eventual creation of Tyler. First, the narrator suffers from insomnia. Because of his insomnia, he goes to a doctor and gets prescribed some pills to help him sleep. The doctor declines and makes a snide comment about visiting a cancer group in order to see people that are actually in pain. The narrator takes him up on his offer, where he then learns that being in the environment helps him cry, which ultimately helps him sleep. After going to numerous cancer groups, the narrator meets Marla Singer, who is another faker that does not have cancer.
Marla, you liar! You big tourist! I need this! Now get out!
Having her there throws off his facade and he can no longer sleep. Due to the return of his insomnia, his mind creates Tyler Durden, who creates a fight club which helps the narrator sleep again. For mise en scene, the scene I chose to focus on is the alley scene after Tyler and the narrator go out for a beer, and the narrator and Tyler have their first fist fight.
Motherfucker!
For staging, Tyler and the narrator begin fighting, which appears normal, but later in the film, it is revealed that it is just the narrator fighting himself. This changes the meaning of the men in the background looking at this fight. At first, it seems like they're standing there intrigued at these two men fighting, but after the twist, it is clear they were just watching some madmen. For setting, the scene is set in the dark back alley of a bar. The dirty and abandoned setting reflects the negatively acclaimed acts of violence that happen there. This is also important because it is where the narrator and Tyler have a conversation for the first time after their meeting, so it is appropriate that it is also where they have their first physical fight. Each time the setting is revisited, there are more people standing out there and fighting, inspired by Tyler and the narrator, or in this case, just the narrator. For costume and makeup, the costumes in this scene reflect the different attitudes of Tyler and the narrator. The narrator has dressed appropriately for an office job, looking clean and well put together with a suit and blazer. Tyler, on the other hand, dresses more carelessly, wearing an unbuttoned shirt that doesn't match his jacket. For lighting, this film is shot in very low-key lighting, with the outdoor interaction being held during the nighttime, with only the lights from the bar to illuminate the characters. This is meant to reflect the dark themes and content of this violent scene. This type of lighting is also carried out through most of the entire film in order to reflect the other dark subjects, which includes death, violence, insomnia, and cancer. Fincher's distinct style choice in this film was to show the audience everything that they needed to know, making the plot twist not only shocking but frustrating for the audience members who didn't know it sooner. Fincher accomplishes this by showing numerous camera shots that give explicit hints that Tyler is not real. For starters, Fincher shows little flash images of Tyler that the narrator sees but doesn't pick up on. This is important because he has not met Tyler yet. The first instance is here, when the narrator is looking at his doctor, and another shortly after, when he is at his first cancer group. Another hint that Fincher practically throws at us is when Tyler and the narrator hit cars with baseball bats. Tyler hits the car first and the alarm does not go off, but then the narrator hits it and the alarm does go off. Lastly, Fincher uses editing to give us an insight to Tyler's true identity. There is a scene where the narrator is at a payphone where he gets a call on it from Tyler. The camera slightly zooms in on the phone, which shows a sign that says, "No incoming calls allowed." This means that the narrator was never on the phone and imagined that he was talking to Tyler. While still on the concept of film editing, Fincher not only uses it to drop hints to the audience, but he also uses it to rub in our faces all the ways we were deceived. After Tyler's identity is revealed, Fincher plays back certain scenes of the film, only this time Tyler is not in them, and the true events are revealed to the audience.
First night at Fight Club, you have to fight.
First night at Fight Club, you have to fight.
To summarize what we have talked about, David Fincher's vision in this film serves as art because its dark themes and use of transparency causes the viewer to have a truly mind-blowing experience. This story reflects the director's voice because of his dark and dramatic style that is meant to fool the audience into thinking that they're in the loop. The mise-en-scene reflects David Fincher's vision because it sets up the whole film as it introduces the subject of violence into the film, which ends up being a large contribution to the plot. The editing in this film reflects Fincher's vision because it supplies us with flash images and on-screen hints which are meant to clue us in on the true events of the film, but instead it goes over our heads and makes us question whether or not we were really paying attention. David Fincher's ability to mix all of these elements together has created the cultural phenomenon that is Fight Club.
Get out of the house, but there's nothing